Hi students, in this video we are going to discuss about Infosys verbal test paper 1. The first question we have here is grammatically and logically correct alternative to replace the words. So the first question, the president called out his people to see if they make sacrifices for the good of their country. We have four options here whenever you are solving sentence correction questions. Observe what is the grammatically variable word that is present in all the four options. So if you look at here four options, the four options are called on his people to see if they make sacrifices for the good, called upon his people to make sacrifices for the good, C option. Option D, called for his people to make sacrifices for the good. So in all the four options the phrasal verb is different. So when I say phrasal verb, basically phrase, what is the definition of phrase? Phrase is a collection of words which may or may not give a meaningful sentence. That is a phrase. So the reason why we are calling here phrasal prepositional phrase, not verb here, prepositional phrase. On is a preposition, upon, for, all three are prepositions. So we are calling it as prepositional phrase. So now we need to find out whether for is the right usage or on is the right usage or upon is the right usage. So let us start with called out. When we say called out, it means someone to deal with emergency. Okay, so that is the meaning of called out. That is given in the question. Okay, but here the given context is not relevant to emergency, right? So when we say called on means it is request. Called on his people. Called upon, it means to ask or demand. Called for, it is also more or less same, that is demand. So in all the given four options, the right contextual usage is the president called on to his people to see if they make sacrifices for the good of their country. So because called on is a more requesting sense. That is the reason option A is the right answer. Okay. So now let us move on to question 2. Here also they are asking us identify the right term of expression. So in all the given four options, they are asking us what is the right option. Aviation insiders say that the airlines that still make the pilots pay to their training will increasingly find it difficult to fill their vacancies. Aviation insiders say that the airlines that still make the pilots pay for their training will increasingly find it difficult to fill their vacancies. Aviation insiders are saying that airlines who still make the pilots pay with their training will increasingly find it difficult filling up their vacancies. So if we look at all the four options, in all the four options, as we discussed in the previous question, what is the variable word that is present in all the four sentences? In this, here they are saying pay to their training. Here they are saying pay for their training, pay with their training, pay to their training. So this is the difference in all the four options, and other options are slightly different. Okay, increasingly, and largely. Okay, but here we need to identify first what is the right preposition to use in all the four options. So if we say pay, so now I'll just show you a little bit of more explanation for the usage of to and for. So if you look at here, what are the different usages of to? We use to when we want to indicate any direction or movement. When we want to denote a recipient of an action, for example, I gave the book to Sarah. Okay, so here Sarah is the recipient of the book. Next one, when we want to denote any intention or an objective, like he came to learn new skills. So here what is our intention or goal? We need to learn new skills. So in these cases we use to. And when do we use for? For primarily we use for purpose or benefit. For example, here when we want to denote a reason, then we use for. This gift is for you. Okay, so that means that the gift is being benefited by that particular person. Intended use, it is also more or less the same, the purpose or the function of something. Next, we all know it is a duration of time. So these are the cases we use to and for. Now let us get back to the question. If you look at here, when we say pay to their training, it means we are paying to training. That means that we are paying to training. It doesn't make sense, right? Because we are paying for training, right? To get benefit of the training, we are paying for it. So that is the reason where here the contextual usage is benefiting. We are getting benefited because of training. So that is the reason we need to use for training. So in this particular case, the answer is option B. Okay, the answer is option B. Next one, Jean Jean ran into her old classmate dash car in the club. So here just we need to fill the grammatically and logically correct alternative. If you look at in all the four options, in the first option they have given us Jan ran into her old classmate. By looking at the question, what should be striking in our mind? The sentence is in past tense, right? Because it is ran. So in the given four options, what would be the right tense to use? Obviously, we should be using past tense. So that is the reason in all the four options, the best grammatically correct alternative is as she was parking her car. Jian ran into her old classmate as she was parking her car. Next one, we have again grammatically and logically correct alternative. Many might argue that women have a keen eye on detail and are far more systematic with their investment plans. So in all the given four options, here the alternative we need to look for is keen eye on. So this is also again the we need to see which is the right preposition to use. So when we say keen eye in it means usually in denotes location or position or involvement within something, right? That is what we use in primarily. So if you see in this context, we are not looking into something, right? But here they are saying many might argue that women have a keen eye on detail. So we are referring to women. When we say keen eye at, even we all know at is generally used for location or direction or specific points to tell something, right? Let's take an example. Look at the bird, look at the painting. So when we want to talk about a specific direction or specific point, we use at. Next one, keen eye to. To is used to indicate movement or direction or purpose. We already have discussed in previous question. For example, keen to learn. If we want to say someone is keen to learn, here they have a clear purpose. They want to learn. In that case, we use to. Next one, keen eye for. When do we use for? We already discussed. So keen eye is correct usage of preposition here, which refers to someone has a natural ability or a sharp observation towards something. In that case, we use for. Here they have a clear natural ability. So that is their quality of being. So that is the reason we say keen eye for detail. So that is the reason here option B is the answer. Next one, when it comes to synonyms. So basically, whenever we are trying to solve synonyms, here there is no definite concept to teach synonyms or antonyms. Usually, synonyms and antonyms are picked up through natural conversations by watching podcasts or movies or reading books, talking to your friends. So we pick up language, we could pick up words basically by talking to others. And there are some strategies where you can learn to solve synonyms. One of the strategies is learning root words. Uh, if you want to learn root words are basically the core word of a core word that forms the whole word. That is the root word. Probably you can have a look at in internet for few examples what are root words. And sometimes you can also identify out of given four options, two options may be negative, two options may be positive, or one or two options may be completely irrelevant for the given question. Mm. So you can identify what is the right positive word or negative word based on the given question. So here the word given here is proliferation. Proliferation means growth. Okay. Basically, proliferation means grow rapidly. That is the meaning of proliferation. So ideally, it means here growth is the right word. Next one, select the word segment that substitutes or replaces the bracketed word segment correctly and completes the sentence meaningfully. Okay, so here the given word is in the bracket they have given us the planet. The transit of the planet of love happens in Paris, 8 years apart every century. So here we need to replace the bracketed sentence. So basically the planet of love means Venus. Venus is called planet of love. So in the given four options, whenever you are trying to solve sentence correction questions, always look up for sentence verb agreement, whether the subject is agreeing with the verb or not. Always look up for subject verb agreement, whether subject is agreeing with the verb or not. If subject is agreeing with the verb, then check whether the tenses are correct. If tenses are correct, then go for prepositions, then go for adjectives, then go for adverbs, then go for parallelism, other corrections. But the first and fundamental thing that we need to check in every sentence correction question is subject verb agreement. So let us check here. The subject is the planet of Venus, the planet of love, and the verb is here happens. So in option A, subject is singular, verb is singular. If any verb that ends with s, it is called singular. If any verb that ends without s, that is plural. So here planet of love is singular, happens is singular, but whereas in the other options, it is happens is a plural word because there is no s here. So that is the reason here the transits of the planet of love happens at Paris. Next one, in the question, one statement is given followed by two inferences. You have to consider the statement to be true even if it seems to be a variance from commonly known facts. So here this what is the statement given to us? No one could deny Wheatley's remarkable achievement in being the first African American of either gender to publish a book in colonial America. a time and place where slaves' very humanity was questioned. So that is the statement given to us. Whereas, what is the inference given? Wheatley was the first African American lady to be educated. Wheatley was an African American slave. So, in the given question, what are they asking us? They are clearly asking us, you have to decide which of the given inferences. So, what does it mean? The key word is here you. You have to decide whether one follows or two follows, either one or two follows, or neither of them follows. So now it is our judgment to figure out what follows, whether one inference follows or two inference follows. So from the given statement, we need to clearly read it again to understand whether one first inference or second inference follows. No one could deny Wheatley's remarkable achievement in being the first African American of either gender to publish a book in colonial America, a time and place where slaves' very humanity was questioned. So the inference given is Wheatley was the first African American lady to be educated. Second one is Wheatley was an African American slave. So, if you look at the first inference, it was mentioned Wheatley was the first American lady to be educated. So, in the given statement, they have said Wheatley published a book. That's it. That does not mean she is educated, right? Because here, if you see the first African American of either gender to publish a book. That's it. They did not mention that Wheatley is educated, right? So inference 1 doesn't follow. Second one, there is no information that says that Wheatley was a slave. But here in the inference 2, they have mentioned Wheatley was an American slave. So it is obvious that neither one nor two follow. So the option is D here. Okay, next we have reading comprehension. I'm sure each one of you are aware how to do reading comprehension questions. Whenever you come across reading comprehension questions, try to read the question first so that you will understand what exactly they are having. Try to read all the questions in 1 or 2 minutes and understand what exactly they are looking for and come back to the passage. Whenever you are reading the passage, try to skim and scan the passage. What do I mean by skim and scan? It simply means try to read the sentences by uh, not by word. Try to read fast and at the same time don't focus too much on each and every word's meaning. So that is the meaning of skim and scan. Although let us read the passage. Although there is a great deal of variation within each gender, on the average, men and women discuss a surprisingly difficult range of topics. According to some studies, women and men ranging age from 17 to 18 described the range of topics each discussed with the friends of same sex. Certain topics were common to both men and women. Work, movies, and television proved to be frequent topics for both groups. The difference between men and women were more striking than the similarities. Female friends spent much more time discussing personal and domestic subjects, relationship problems, family, health, and reproductive matters, weight, food, and clothing. Men, on the other hand, were more likely to discuss music, current events, sports, and business. Women were more likely to gossip about close friends and family. By contrast, men spent more time gossiping about sports figures and media personalities. These differences can lead to frustration when men and women try to converse with one another. So, as we understand from the passage, primarily they are talking about gender interests. Men are interested to talk about few topics. Women are interested to talk about few topics. That is the primary crux of the given passage. So, in the given, what is the question they are asking? According to the passage, which of the following option is incorrect? So, they are asking us which is the incorrect option. So, if you look at all the four options, top A option, topics like work, movies, and television are both common topics between men and women. Yeah, usually, if you see here, women are also talking about something about work and movies kind of thing, and men are also doing it on a similar lines. Some domestic subjects here you can see, okay, and but whereas option B, women like to gossip while men do not. So this correct? It is incorrect because if you see what they have mentioned here, men like to gossip while women like to gossip while men do not. So they did not mention in the passage they have mentioned that women were more likely to gossip about close friends and family. But contrast, men spend more time gossiping about sports figures. So it does not mean men do not gossip. Men do gossip, but they gossip on different topics. So ideally, both men and women gossip, but they gossip on different topics. So that is the reason option B is incorrect here. Next one, what is the question? According to the passage, after what age does the range of topics that each gender finds interesting starts to differ? So the age they have given is 17 to 80. So the range of topics that differ is 17. So the answer is 17 here. Next question. The sentence below have divided into three parts. Select the part of the sentence that has an error. So they are asking us to identify the incorrect question. So what is the question here? Hong Kong has been endowed with one of the finest natural harbor in the world. So in all the given three parts, let us identify which part of the sentence has the correction. So here if we see Hong Kong has been endowed, so the tense is correct, present perfect tense, right? And with one of the finest natural harbor. So whenever we use one of the in the sentence, we always should use plural word. One of the finest natural harbors. Okay, sorry, B is the answer here. Harbors. Okay. For example, let's say one of my friends is going to picnic. So because we have to say one of the, we always should use plural word, that is friends. Among group of friends, one of them is going. So to refer one of them, we have to say out of many, one is going to the picnic. So the answer is B here. Next one we have select the word segment that substitute the bracketed word segment. Okay. So here the question is the bridge neither crossed the Thames and neither gave access to a now lost island in the river. So here they have given us four options and they are asking us to select the option no correction required if the sentence correct is given. Okay, fine. So they are asking us to identify what is the correct sentence. This bridge either crossed the Thames and nor gave. This is it is very obvious that it is incorrect because they have mentioned here and nor. We don't say and nor, right? It is quite awkward. Next one, this bridge neither crossed the Thames and nor gives. The same thing. The option looks very awkward. There is no correction required. The option D, the bridge either crossed the Thames or gave access. This is the right answer because they have correctly used either or and they have clearly given or gave access to now lost island. So that is the appropriate answer. Next one we have is we have to use the right word here. Okay. So the question here is those unfamiliar with saga are bound to be mystified by the more dash plots. So this is again kind of synonyms question. What do we mean by arcane? Arcane means mysterious. Aesthetic, as we all know, it talks about beauty or decorative. Arbitrary, arbitrary means random choice. And the last option we have is anient. Anient means to put oil or water on somebody's head. Basically, it is more related to religious ceremony occasion kind of thing. Okay, so here if we look at the question, those unfamiliar with saga are bound to be mystified. So here we have the keyword mystified. So that is the reason the appropriate option is arcane, which means mysterious. Next, we have one more question that is also related to synonyms. Fetal dash screening uses ultrasound scanning to find certain abnormalities in the baby. Option A is unfavoring, option B anomaly, option C abience, and option D snuggle. So in all four options, if we look at the meaning of each and every word, unfavoring means to cause fever. Anomaly, as we know, all know, it means irregularity. Next one, abience, suspension, which means suspension. And snuggle, which means to move close to someone. So if we look at the given options, the appropriate word would be anomaly because when there is anomaly in new screening, then we use ultrasound scanning to find certain abnormalities in the baby, right? As we all know, fetal, fetus both mean same. It is the, I think it is seventh month or eighth month of the baby, I guess. I'm not very sure, but usually at one stage during the pregnancy, we call it as once the baby is completely formed, we usually say fetus. Next one, we have a question that substitutes or replaces the bracketed word. Jane was asked by her aunt Where were you last night? Okay, in all the given four options. And where were you last night? Okay, question mark is there. Here, where had you been you last night? I think this is completely incorrect. The awkward sentence because you is given two times. Where were you last night? So if we look at the four options, in option A and D, only that is not there. It means that usually this particular question is in direct speech, so we don't use that in the direct speech. So that is the reason we have to go for option D. And because it has started with a question word, it should end with a question mark, not the full stop. Okay. So that is the reason option D is the answer. Next one we have is the reasoning question. Students at times are not able to pass home exams marginally. That is the statement. And what is the course of action they are asking us? They have given us borderline cases should be allowed to take retest. Minimum passing marks for home exam should be revised and brought down to a lower level. So here also they are asking us, you have to decide which are the given course of actions. So from the given statement, we need to identify what is the best course of action. Okay. So borderline cases should be allowed to take retest. Minimum passing marks of for home exams should be revised and brought down to a lower level. So what is the statement they are telling us? Students at times are not able to pass home exams marginally. So some students are not able to pass home exams marginally. So if this is the case, what would be the course action you take, which is reasonably possible and at the same time it should be logically correct. Neither one, either one or two, only two or only one. So if you look at option 1, borderline cases should be allowed to take retest. So this could be the possible action. But whereas when it comes to second action, what are they telling us? Minimum passing marks for home exam should be revised and brought down to a lower level. So they are suggesting here to brought down the marks. So if we are making pass mark even lower, then what is the whole point of conducting exam? There is no point of conducting exam again, right? So that is the reason option, I mean the course of action 2 is not a viable action, only course of action 1 follows the given statement. So that is the reason option D is the answer. Next one, select the word segment that substitutes or replaces the bracketed word segment correctly and completes the sentence meaningfully. Select the no option, no correction required if the sentence given is correct. So the question here is, the government appears to be at the war with its own people. So if you observe in all the sentences, to be at war against its own people, to be at war with its own people, to be at war with its own people. So here in couple of options the apostrophe is there. In couple of options the apostrophe is not there. So here, okay, option C. So here if you look at the apostrophe, what does apostrophe mean? apostrophe s means it is. Okay, it means it is. For example, if you see here, it apostrophe s it equal to it is. Okay, that is the meaning of it is. So, but that is not the right case here, right? The government appears to be at war with its own people. We need to say its own people. It without apostrophe s means possessive case. Okay, its own people. So it refers to own people. So that is the reason we have to use without apostrophe. That is the reason the answer is C here. Next one, we have again sentence has been divided into three parts and we need to find out the sentence that has error. Okay, so let us read the question. An independent inquiry headed by Anthony White, QC in 2011 further examined the claims but also exonerated Coucher. So, which part of the sentence is incorrect here? An independent inquiry headed by Anthony White uh, in 2011 further examined the claims but also further examined the claims but also exonerated Coucher. So here we do not have not only but also case, even without not only but also can be used. There is no problem with that. Okay. So here, if you see in English, we have basically there are two words. One is further, another one is father. That is FARTHER. Father, father. So I'm just telling you the difference in meaning for both the words. For example, if we say father um, means uh, sorry, father, it refers to physical distance. Okay, further refers to abstract ideas. Okay, so here we let us see if this is the uh, word here. An independent inquiry headed by Anthony White in 2011 further examined the claims but also exonerated Coucher. So here it is reflecting to, it is not referring to physical distance here, it is referring to abstract idea, right? So here the the correction here is an independent inquiry headed by Anthony White, QC in 2011, comma, further examined the claims but also exonerated the Coucher. Okay. So because the reason why we want to put comma is the whole sentence is talking about Anthony White QC in 2011. That is the reason here she is incorrect. Okay, there should be a punctuation error in the sentence. Further examined, just a minute. An independent inquiry headed by Anthony White QC in 2011 further examined the claims. Sorry, yeah, here it should be comma, not there. Here it should be the comma, grammatically correct. The word usage here further is correct because it is referring to an idea, so it is correctly used. Next one, obesity is also a progressive condition unlike anorexia nervosa, which tends to dash with age. So here we need to use the appropriate word. What does inebriate means? To make someone drink. That is the meaning of inebriate. Ameliorate, to improve something. That is the meaning of ameliorate. Negate, we all know, to deny. Struggle means to fight. So here what is the appropriate word here? The appropriate word is ameliorate because it is needs to be improved. So the difference between anorexia and obesity, basically anorexia is an eating disorder, which means people intentionally starve themselves. Sometimes it leads to death as well. Okay, so that is the meaning of anorexia. Obesity, as we all know, which means gaining overweight. That is the meaning of obese. Next one, we have one more question. I often feel I am and dash that I would be more at home at the turn of the century than today. The first option is avarice, apathy, anachronism, analogous. So in all the four options, what do we mean by avarice? Avarice means extreme desire for money. Apathy, lack of emotion. Basically, pati means emotion. Apathy means negative, lack of emotion or lack of motivation, you can say. Anachronism. Anachronism means something that does not belong to current nature or current trend. Basically, it belongs to history. That is the meaning of anachronism. So here the root word is crone. Okay, the root word is crone, as we all I discussed. Every word has a root word. Here the root word is crone. Crone means time. Basically, crone means time. Anna means something related to ancient. For example, ancient is the word, which means something that talks about history. Here also anachronism, something that talks about history. That is how it comes. Anachronism. Analogous. Analogous means similar. We all know this. So here the appropriate word is anachronism because I often feel I am an anachronism that I would be more at home at the turn of century than today because it is talking something about past. So that is the reason we need to use anachronism. Next one, the sentence below is divided into three parts. Let us see which part of the sentence has error. The vacuum not only holds products in place, it also compacts the package size, reducing the amount of space that they taken up in cartons. The amount of space they they take up in cartons. B also compacts the package size, reducing. This vacuum not only holds products in place, comma it. So if we see here in these four options, as I told how to approach a sentence correction question, try to eliminate the options, check whether subject verb is agreed or not. Here if you see, this vacuum not only holds products in place. So here, what is the subject? Vacuum. Vacuum is singular and we are using singular verb holds. So that is agreed, right? And it also compacts the package size. So here also it is singular. It is singular, compacts is singular. So subject and verb are agreed. Okay, there is no tense in this sentence. It is pretty generic sentence, so we no need to worry about tenses here. Only the thing is they have used something here, not only, not only, but also. So it always should be not it also, it should be but also. So in the option C, there is a correction. What is the next question? The reasoning question, they have given us two assumptions and we need to find out which of them follows. The use of breath analysis to check if the drivers are drunk has if the drivers are drunk has been stopped by the traffic police to prevent the spread of coronavirus to the traffic police. So what is the assumption there? What are the assumptions they have given us? Coronavirus can be passed on to traffic police only by drunken people. The second one is the traffic police do not want to be infected with the coronavirus. So if we look at two options, two assumptions here, whenever we are trying to solve reasoning questions, always understand in the previous question we have come across inference. Here it is an assumption. Assumption is different, inference is different. Assumption is something we assume from the given statement. That is the meaning of the assumptions. But when it comes to inference, inference means it is a judgment or a conclusion we derive from the given statement. That is the meaning of inference. So here we need to identify what could be the possible assumption, whether it is assumption 1 is implicit, uh, assumption neither of the assumptions are implicit. So we need to identify what is the meaning of implicit. Implicit means hidden meaning. Explicit means something which is very clearly seen. So implicit and explicit both are opposites. Implicit is nothing but hidden meaning. So if you see here, the use of breath analysis to check if the drivers are drunk has been stopped by the traffic police to prevent the spread of coronavirus to the traffic police. So what is the assumption one? They are telling coronavirus can be passed on to traffic police only by drunken people. So here the keyword is only by drunken people. But in this given statement, they have never stated that coronavirus is passed to traffic police because of drunken people. This what do they say in the statement? The use of breath analysis to check if the drivers are drunk has been stopped by traffic police to prevent the spread of coronavirus to the traffic police. So they have stopped using uh, breath analysis just to prevent the spread, not because traffic police got affected by the drunken people. On the road, there can be many people, where people who are drunken, not drunken, everyone. They are checking everyone. But what is the assumption? One, there it is stating that traffic police got affected or got coronavirus only by drunken people. So that is the reason option one, assumption one is incorrect, right? Next one, the traffic police do not want to be infected with the coronavirus. Yes, that is correct. If they have mentioned here, right? To prevent the spread of coronavirus to the traffic people. So it is clearly given. So that means that assumption 2 is correct. So the correct option is here only Assumption 2 is correct. Next, we have the same passage which we have read in the above. According to the passage, which of the following is not a topic discussed by females often? So, what are the topics they have given us here? Which of the following is not a topic discussed by females? Not a topic. That is the underlining word here. So, what are the topics? Let us see here. Female friends spent much more time discussing personal and domestic subjects, relationship problems, family, health, and reproductive matters, weight, food, and clothing. So, these are the topics. Now, let us look at the options. Matters related to health and family, yes. Personal and domestic subjects, yes. Topics which include food, clothing, weight, yes. Current affairs, no, because we don't have current affairs word in this given question. So that is the reason D is the answer. Next one, according to the passage, why do men and women find it frustrating to converse? Okay, now let us look at the options. Because men and women inherently have nothing in common. Because women like to gossip while men like to discuss. Both because both the genders are polar opposites of each other. Because of dissimilar tastes in the topic they like to have in conversation. So if you look at the last part of the sentence, by contrast, men spend more time gossiping sports figures. These differences can lead to frustration when men and women try to converse with each other. So these differences, what are these differences? The differences in different interests. Men have different interests, women have different interests. So that is the reason they have dissimilar tastes. Basically, they have dissimilar tastes. That is the reason they got frustrated. Next one is a cascade of events must occur for a neurotransmitter stimuli to lead to cellular response. So here also we need to find out the incorrect part. So what is the incorrect? So whenever you are approaching the sentence, whenever we are trying to approach sentence correction, always check a cascade of events. Here they have mentioned it as a phrase, cascade of events must occur for a neurotransmitter stimuli. Okay, here what is the subject here? Neurotransmitter is the subject. Neurotransmitter is a singular or plural? It is a singular word. But whereas when it comes to stimuli, is it a singular word or plural word? It is a plural word. Stimuli is plural. What is the singular word for stimuli? Stimulus. Right? Alumni, aluminous. Alumni is plural, aluminous is singular. Similarly, stimuli is plural, stimulus is singular. So that is the reason option C needs to be corrected. Next one we have last question, I guess. So here also we have the same passage. It was almost impossible for him to put out of his mind the dash words which he heard from his clever father-in-law. So what is inspiring, witty? What do we mean by witty? Clever and amusing, right? That is the meaning of witty. Sarcastic, as we all know, insulting others or make fun of others. Soothing, very calm, pleasant. Exhortative, which means to pursue, sorry, to persuade someone. Okay, that is the meaning of Exhortative, persuading. What do we mean by persuading? Persuading is making others believe what you believe. That is the meaning of persuading. So if you see here, it was almost impossible for him to put out of his mind, the witty words which he heard from his clever father-in-law. Witty means, as we said, it means clever. So it is very impossible for him to put out of his mind of the witty words from his clever. Clever here also we have the keyword here, clever father-in-law, which means witty. Okay, so that's all from first Infosys test paper. Uh, Thank you all. We will close this session.